This is Matej alias Retronator with 3D Paint.
Alright. Let me get a chair. So yeah, over the last 3 months I've been talking a lot about PBR, and it's a physically based rendering that I'm doing for my graphics engine for point-and-click adventure I'm developing. It's called Pixel Art Academy. But today I want to show you a tool that I've been developing to create those graphics, which is a custom tool for pixel art. And first of all, it runs in the browser. Most of all, it just works as a normal drawing tool, pixel art drawing tool. But it has like a couple of other nice features. So I'll create a little box here just to demonstrate some of the stuff. Okay, so here's just a normal box. To draw the side, instead of like choosing shades and stuff like here, most of the time when I do shading, you go to this shading sphere over here. It's a shading sphere where you choose a shade off. And yeah, you can snap to angle because I'm going to be drawing like a 3D, like a cube. I'm just going to snap to 90 degrees and then I'm going to start drawing here. And then as soon as I have a surface, so this one straight on, this one's going to be at 90 degree. It kind of gives me this kind of helpers, and I can also, it helps me do diagonals at nice pixel art angles. So I'm going to draw this like this, color it in. Very similarly for the ground plane. Let's see, I'm going to do it this way. It's not perfect, so sometimes things go wrong, but in general, that's kind of the basic idea. Let me just quickly draw the other ones in as well for the sake of the completeness. And ceiling. So yeah, it might not be perfect, but hopefully good enough for the demo. It's not always perfect. So yeah, if I go into here, I can now. So first of all, this the shading sphere, you can change where the light is coming from. So then it's gonna be more obvious if I turn shadows on. So you see how it's kind of casting shadows onto itself. In fact, you can, let me just save for now. In fact, you can just like rotate the camera as well. And you can see that it actually created like a 3D model out of it. And so what I've been working on now was doing the physics. So right now, this is, for example, this shading here is just like a normal like directional light with a normal shadow map, which is just like default stuff out of 3JS that I'm using. But let's create so right now I've been trying to create a more advanced lighting. So let's create our little Cornell box. Green and, oh God, did I fuck something up? Yes, I did. Put the wrong normal in, there we go. And then I'm also gonna, so like you can choose material like normal colors out of here, but you can also create materials a little bit more advanced now because I need to do so. So for example, this light is if you remember, I was showing like different materials, how they light get created by heating a material. So this, for example, is carbon at 6,500 kelvins. So I'm gonna paint that in onto the ceiling. So it needs to be looking down because I can also do this way. I need to paint it onto the ceiling, so I'm gonna, I don't know, just draw it somewhere in here. And this right now it's not PBR yet, so nothing changes. So let's see, let's save for, and so now I'm gonna switch to PBR. Although I don't know what's happening here, let me just restart it. Yeah, there we go, it's better. So yeah, so this is kind of the concept, I guess, behind it. yeah, and then yeah, it's 3D, so can, because the idea is why am I doing this? Why make like this complicated 3D pixel art editor? If you have 3D information, all of the other stuff that's hard in 2D games is done automatically. For example, sorting of sprites in depth. I can, yeah, scaling of sprites, how much they need to scale when people walk in and out, and yeah, now also dynamic shading, so I can just have whatever. I'll probably show you just a bit how the current graphics engine was, but yeah, here's another test that I made. The same box, but just it has an additional cube of gold in there. I only oh yeah, so I can also show how this gets rendered. So basically, yeah, instead of ray tracing, I chose to do light probes. So basically, as the let me restart it. You'll see, or not. I thought it should. Oh yeah, because I need to repopulate. Okay. Or that's not. Yeah, for example, you'll see on this one. So for example, yeah, it's like it's placing a cube camera that creates a cube map, I guess, render, and you can see it's just like goes onto different locations in the on the scene, and looks at what all of the surrounding is, because that's pretty much light. Light is all of the surrounding coming in, and then it reflects light. Right now I only support the Lambertian surfaces, so it just reflects everything into the same way. So that's why, and then you keep doing this, and so as you know, the first things get lit up, they send off light to another thing, and then those things are now lit, and then they send light back in, and so eventually the things converges. And you can see, you can have stuff like here on the left of this one, you see that it's more red because it's, you know, because it's being lit by the red light reflected, like the white light reflected off of the red wall, this kind of stuff. But yeah, so the reason why I wanted to do this addition is of this like global illumination is this next scene that I'm working on. First of all, let me turn off PBR. That's the last thing I'll show. Yeah, the next scene I was doing was the apartment where your character is. It's this kind of a bedroom. Let's see. Yeah, don't draw shadows. Oh yeah, PBR is still on. So yeah, the problem is, even if because it's like there's only light coming. I want in the morning only for the light from the outside to come. So basically, like, yeah, you can have some sort of like shadows coming in like this, but the thing is, like, everything else is fucking gray. You can't really see anything unless you would have PBR. Right now, my engine is way too slow for this to actually work with PBR. If it will start. But I let it run before when I went for a walk. It's not the prettiest yet because it's not. I'll just show you here. So here it kind of like what it converged to. So basically, yeah, hopefully I will be able. Right now, there's a lot of this kind of artifacts because it's not smoothly interpolated. But yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get something usable in like a couple of seconds. So that, yeah, and then as soon as it's the lighting is baked, then all the characters can walk around and get shaded as well. And then yeah, so that's kind of it. I'll just show you how it looks like now, but you can also ask me questions in the meantime, if you have any. Yes?
What kind of export opportunities do you have or foresee?
For the file format? Right now, not really, because the editor or the algorithm that creates the geometry is not very predictable. It's kind of hard to deal with. So right now, at first, when it becomes a little bit more usable, the first thing I'll do is I will open it up like the editor itself for patrons on my Patreon, and then yeah, if that works out, you'll be able to draw scenes, but I think it's only usable to be rendered directly out of my software because you get the kind of pixel perfection. The whole reason why I don't just use like Blender to do this is so that I have precision over pixels when I'm drawing stuff. So it wouldn't really make sense to export the 3D model because you will do a way better job if you just use Blender. So yeah, this is kind of how the current engine is like without any global illumination. So it's kind of okay, but it's just, yeah, I think as soon as there's global illumination, it'll create way more kind of like HD pixel art look that will way more stand out. But yeah, even here, there's like, yeah, dynamic shadows and everything. Yes?
Is that currently running on the GPU or on the CPU?
This is on the GPU. This part is all GPU. Yeah.
And for your asset creation tool?
Yeah. Well, so that one is a little bit more, I guess, twofold. Because so I have two tools. The first one that I showed you already, I can, I guess, load it up as well. This is the first one that I built. It's just called the Sprite Editor because I use it to create the characters. Like you've seen, the guy walking around is basically built out of this hundreds of little body. Like every arm's gonna be, or head is gonna be drawn from 5 different angles. So I first built this tool. It already has this support for shading with the sphere. So basically, this creates like manual normal maps. So this is all done just in plain old canvas and normal stuff. But then for this one, for the 3D one, it's a combination. So I just basically what I've done is I've put the drawing that you can see, and I can also switch it on. I think so. Yeah, like the drawing that you can see is done with the previous editor code, but then in the background, in the background is also going to be the 3D scene. So basically, for example, and it gets rendered. You can't really see it here. Like it gets rendered onto a pixel, like a render target, but I can also turn it off, and you can actually see the 3D geometry that it's creating. It's very shitty 3D geometry, by the way. But yeah. So yeah, so it's kind of a little bit like it's a combination of both, and then yeah, you can have cameras move things around because this is the 3D part, yeah.
With the room how you're drawing it onto the different planes, do you need to be able to choose the color? So you're like choosing a normal from the wheel and then pasting it on. Would you kind of always be using the same one, or is there a reason why you want to choose like different normals for different surfaces?
Well, yeah, because the normals need to be correct for the algorithm to be able to convert a 2D image into a 3D model.
Right. Okay. So when you had the plane background, the perspective plane as the background, that wasn't actually changing it. So you were drawing onto a wall.
Yeah,
You're
no.
drawing a shape and it's reinterpreting that.
Exactly. Yeah.
To say, oh, actually, that's facing the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the input is a 2D image, and then it uses both the camera information because in this software you actually need to draw proper perspective. If you draw shitty perspective, it's going to be wrong because it won't. It needs to match one-on-one, and then out of normals and the camera information, then it can interpret your intent, what the 3D geometry is.
So when you drew a wall that was connected to another one,
yeah,
it looks like it kind of like inferred the depth based on that normal. Is there a way of, let's say you wanted to define a plane which is kind of like floating in front of another one and it's not connected?
Yeah.
Is there a way of defining the depth instead?
Yeah, I have option for that. Oh, I don't think. Let me see if I can quickly open it up. I have one example of that kind of a drawing. Buildings, skyscrapers. I'm not sure if it's gonna load up because it was done a while ago. Not sure if I fucked up something with the, probably have, we'll see. Oh yeah, so for example, this is a skyscraper scene. This one here, this skyscraper here is not connected at all to this one, and so it won't be, I have no idea actually what am I on. So it wouldn't know where to position it, right? Because it's ambiguous. So what I do is when you click around, you have this cluster inspector. So usually it tells you the coplanar point where it figured it out that the plane should be, but you can also manually set it. So I think this one actually isn't working exactly because the plane is not set. So I would have to say, I don't know, the Z coordinate to be, I don't know, 100 to push it inwards. I guess it's too far. Yeah, like, I guess I have the clipping set to close, that's why. But yeah, that's how you can, those that it can't infer, you force them to be at a certain plane. And then as far as the figuring out the, basically here in this one you can see kind of, well right now it's kind of shitty, but basically the text edges between planes and then it infers there's an edge between them. And if you have, because right now it only supports polyhedron, technically, polyhedrons. So it assumes that if there's one plane and another plane, there's always just one angle, like one edge that will join those two planes. So then it just starts with one and then unwraps everything else.
Yeah, what's the hardest part to implement global illumination?
In global illumination, I think the hardest thing is when you're working with shaders, because it's very hard to debug, and a lot of times when you write a huge chunk of shader code, you just get a black screen. and then before you get into writing it, it's just debugging shaders is definitely something that's not really the most fun experience. But yeah, it was kind of okay. All right, I'll let next one go.